YOLO. So usually I don't see the world settings for beginner tip videos. Usually. At least the ones I've seen. So personal take on this, for beginners, set your respawn to 0 blocks radius. You don't want to be zigzagging if you accidentally die and then you don't know where you are. I would also turn up your monster grace timer to at least 10 days, put it on max, and keep things on keep your infantry on, especially when you're new at the game. You don't need to keep losing your progress. Now I would turn up the hours per month in game days, because you will find that you will hit winter quite sooner than you think, and progression is slow in this game, and it is based on survival, so it just relaxes that. Now unfortunately you can't turn off the sand and gravel, so I would leave it at the basic one. I wouldn't put sideways soil, and I wouldn't enable cave-ins. I will also put the HP at least the highest, or at least 10 points above the normal. I will also speed up the health regeneration, lower the hunger rate, and if you like swimming in the dark, feel free to up your lung capacity. Also, I would put your temperature hardiness. I will set the creatures to passive. Normally with the tool, mining speeds and durability, if you want to go higher on that, go right ahead. I would also change your walking speed to be slightly faster. Now, this is a personal preference. For chiseling, I will put most cubic blocks, because these then you can chisel sand and things like dirt. Now, temporal stability, I will turn that crap off, turn off the storms, turn off the rifts. Set the temporal gears, when you get them, to infinite. Now, world generation, I would generally leave it at just the base, but if you don't like it all too hilly, two settings I would change: the upheaval rate to 10% at the landform scale to maybe double that of 200. Or if you really don't like the generation system, I would get a mod called Vanilla Plus, and it just makes it more flatter and more plain like without distorting the vanilla feel. Now I'm just lowering my world size, make it smaller. You don't need to go massive, but that is just a personal preference. It isn't going to actually change too much in a way of playing the game. For deposits, I would set it to common or uncommon, and with the tin I would choose one below whatever you choose for the copper, so it's more balanced, so you don't get more tin than you would copper. Now onto the classes. There are 2 classes that I would suggest for a beginner. The first one, the hunter, and as you can see with the stats, it will help with food drops when hunting boars and the like. Or a clockworker, because when you find translocators, you'll need 1 less gear to build them, to repair them. And you can also make a tool which hacks a locust to be your little companion, which is very handy when cave exploring, if you like that sort of thing. Now, Malefactor is more for exploration and getting as much loot as possible from ruins. The Blackguard is if you like everything impossibly hard at the beginning. That's my opinion. Tailor is not really all that useful unless you are in a multiplayer format. So now we are in our world. We're going to take a few... Okay, so now we've just come across mushrooms. This is a good point to make. before I get really started. When you collect mushrooms, check the stats if it has a minus health, because some of them are poisonous. Most of them you can eat raw, well, you can eat them raw, but some of them will take your health. Now, the handbook, when you press the H key on your keyboard, is going to be your best friend. It's got guides, it's got tutorials, and when you type in the search button for what you're missing, it will show you the results. Now, the first two things you're going to want to do is find sticks and stones, preferably flint, but if you can't really identify flint or find it, stones will have to do. Flint is just better durability. So you need a minimum of 2 stones. That's from Primitive Survival, not that. So you need a minimum of 2 stones to knap out a tool. I will show you out napping in a moment. I just found a flint, and I've found another, I found another bit of flint. I'm going to crouch down and right click on the ground, and then I'm going to select the tool that I want. The first 2 tools I would suggest getting is a knife, an axe, and then if you want another tool, a shovel. Now, I press the Alt key to keep my camera still, and I'm just right clicking or left clicking, I can't remember now. Now, I'm just napping around the tool. Now, this is what happens when you don't press the Alt key. And you don't have to nap every single one. And if you hit the tool, don't worry, it's not going to hurt it. You just have to follow the outline. And then you can combine those tool heads with a stick, and you get the usable tool. Now you can see my inventory, there isn't any extra slots other than the tool belt / hotbar. Now the 4 little slots at the bottom right are going to be for your backpacks, your baskets or hunter's packs or linen bags. So we're going to need to find cattails to make baskets, and you need 10 cattails per basket. So I'm just going to gather these up, and then I'll see you soon. Now I'm making one, and I will show you. One opens up 3 inventory slots. And I'm going to continue gathering up some cattails till I got some baskets. Now, whilst you're looking for cattails or gathering them, keep an eye out for food, especially like berry bushes like this. There's red currants, cranberries, blueberries, blackberries and white currants, and they can be eaten raw. Now that I got all of my baskets, you can see how many inventory slots that it has now opened up. Now this is a trader. You may come across them, you may not. I mean, this is very lucky for me to find one at such an early stage. And this is a clothing merchant. Now I would suggest when you find any points of interest, such as traders, ruins, copper, surface copper ore, or any surface ore, mark them on your map. At the moment I got auto map markers, which does it for me when I interact with the thing in question. Yeah, you definitely want to mark bees, resins and all sorts. Now this is flint. This is what it looks like in granite. To me, when it's flint in a granite biome area, it is the hardest to see because it blends in so well with the stone type. But you get a hang of it. So I'm going to start collecting dry grass now and some more sticks. I am making a fire starter because you can't do anything to light. You can't light a torch on a fire pit or anything like that until you got a fire starter. Now that I've collected enough dry grass and sticks, I'm just going to make 2. The reason why I'm making 2 is because I'm going to keep one in my inventory, backpack, baskets, and one in my hotbar. And I'm going to light them up with the Firestarter, and I'm just going to place it on the ground by clicking Control and Shift, well, holding Control and Shift and right clicking it. Some tools you will need a 2 high wall, others like this you only need 1. I'm not going to be using that again. So I'm going to put one in here for safekeeping, and I'll show you why. They extinguish in water. Now, they don't extinguish when you're holding them in rain, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you drop them in rain whilst it's raining, they will extinguish and you will have to relight them. Now, the reason why you want to keep one in inventory is because at night time it gets really, really dark, which makes everything harder to see, and it may happen. And now I'm checking the time, which when you can press the C button, and in the bottom left corner you can see the environment stats of your area, and you can see traits of your character, your tools or equipment, your equipment and your stats on the right. Now I'm gathering up some dirt with a shovel that I have made, and I'm going to turn him into packed dirt and then ram dirt. And I'm also going to gather up some dry grass to make hay bales so I can make thatch roofing. Now the reason why I'm doing this is one of the first few things you should really get is a shelter of some sort. Even if you're digging into the side of a hill or a mound and making yourself a little homestead there, that's perfectly fine, especially if you want to explore and find yourself a deposit of clay nearby. But mark your home where it is. You don't have to find the perfect location. As you can see, we've just found copper. Now, mark your map, people. Mark it. You can break it with fists or pick it up with an empty tool slot. So once you marked it on the map, what I would also suggest is taking a couple of blocks off the surface where the copper ore or any ore was, especially if you collect it all, because there is always going to be, directly where the surface ore will be, some point down there will be the ore directly underneath it. You just have to go down further enough. Here we got lucky and it was on the first stone that we saw, and it's a medium deposit. We're not going to worry about that because you need a pickaxe and we're nowhere near that. So I got my dirt. I'm going to turn it into packed dirt, like so, and then I'm going to turn it into rammed earth. Don't have to do that, it's just for a visual thing. And now if you want the different varieties of rammed earth, you just put your rammed earth in one of your crafting slots and it will give you a different texture. You keep doing that until you find the right one. I'm going to clear this out for a homestead. Right, it's taken me a while, but I've got enough thatch and I've got some walls and some floors. This is going to be my temporary first home. Put some storage in. Now, there are a couple doors that you can make. You can make a crude door, which now they've implemented back where it can fall off. So annoying. So what I would suggest, because it's also cheaper and it doesn't fall off, is Wattle Gates. Now, I'm going to show you the handbook and the recipe. And I'm going to make 4 of them. And there we have it. We got some doors. Now these aren't insulating doors, I don't believe. I'm going to put down a dry bit of grass after I've made some firewood from a tree that was nearby. It only had one single log, but that's fine. I only need 4 firewood for fire pit. Now I'm not going to put it right in the middle because it does hurt when you walk over it. And there we have it. Now if I press X, I can take my torch out off off my offhand, which shouldn't really be being there because it reduces hunger rate faster when you've got something in your offhand. Not very good for the beginning days. And now it's burning. And now you can put raw meats on that slot. For everything else, if you want to make stews, soups and whatnot, you need a cooking pot. So if you got the grace timer on, there aren't any monsters out there, but there are wildlife if you haven't gotten passive. So you can go look for clay, or you can just sit by pressing the G key and just holding off the night, or going to sleep if you got enough food, because sleeping will reduce your hunger rate as well. Now you do that by getting 3 hay bales and crafting them into a bed. And those are the few beginner steps for your first night of survival. Catch you later.